All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning or afternoon, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to be able to attend today's webinar. I'm Jennifer Bagley, CEO of CI Web Group, and I am really excited to be here with you guys today. Today we're going to be talking about digital marketing today and tomorrow, and this is really exciting, you guys. First, let me just acknowledge some of the people we've got online. Jay Taylor, Kevin, Christopher, Barbara Head. So right now I'm looking at a group of attendees. We have current customers. I see HVAC dealers. I see plumbing companies. I see, looks like we've got a couple speakers, couple business consultants. I see 2 digital marketing agencies. So thanks you guys for coming. Let's see here. Who else do we got? So I see a couple manufacturing companies, uh, two business services. I've got an author in the house. Fantastic. Medical, real estate. I'm trying to remember names to faces. Let's see here. I've got content writers attending. That's awesome. Also, I see some legal, financial services. I have my celebrities online. Fantastic. So you guys, I think right now we're up to we have a couple distributors, manufacturers. I see a couple TSMs. You guys, we've got a really, really eclectic group of attendees in today's webinar. And I know for those of you that are watching live, I really appreciate it. I will keep the questions area open. So if you have questions in the control panel, hey Jay, I see you too. If you have questions, feel free to post those inside the control panel. I'll take time throughout the presentation to stop, pause, and check those out and make sure we get those questions answered before we get out of here. This is new for us. So most of you have attended webinars that have been hosted by another company. It may be a manufacturer, it may be your distributor, it may be an organization, an association. And when I do those webinars, there are some restrictions. So I get a topic and I have to stick within that topic. And I also have to stick to a guideline for how technical I'm allowed to get. I'll just say that there are much more restrictions than the reality of digital marketing calls for. So if you're taking time out to attend this, I really appreciate it. And on behalf of the entire CI Web Group family, our army of, I think we're up to almost 80 amazing people, we thank you for attending. This is designed to be a continual series, a webinar series that is a high impact series. Now, what it won't be is, it won't be regulated by the rules and restrictions that I get when I'm speaking for other people. So if this is something you're attended because you're looking for the easy version, this is probably not the best version. This is the real version. We'll get into it some more, but this is definitely the real version of what you need to consider and think about in order to truly grow your business and stay current in today's times. And yes, it takes an army. For those of you that have heard me speak before, I've talked many, many times about being careful that you don't hire Bob, bring him in, and expect that Bob can do everything. It is impossible. If you can imagine the number of different resources we have to have involved in a singular project. On the low end, I mean low, a starter project, small business owner, right out of the gate, we may have 6 to 7 resources. I know those of you that are customers on the call, you guys can guarantee that because you've been through the process and you've seen how many people it is that are involved. On a moderate project, we're looking at 15 to 20, and on a really aggressive program or plan, you're looking at having a fraction of over 40 resources that come to the table with various talents, skills, experiences, and expertise to be able to make things happen and truly make progress. First, I want to start off for all of you that have registered, you're watching live, or you guys registered because you know you're going to get the recording afterwards. You're going to get a copy of the Ultimate Marketing Guide. It's an ebook that I wrote here in the last few months. And the funny part is, at the end of the ebook, there is a page, and I'm going to read it. Just the last page. It says, by the time you have read this, it may have already changed. Last updated 10/2016. By the time I launched it, that statement was absolutely true. So that's why we're taking the time to host this webinar series. We want you guys to stay up to date with trends that are happening in the industry, things that are coming down the pipeline. You know, there's a ton of situations where we have no notice when there's going to be a major change, an algorithm shift, a major algorithm modification, an upgrade or an update coming out on WordPress, or a major plugin, a social media network launching a significant change. We don't get notifications about everything. We also get notifications often that things have changed, and we don't get to hear what exactly changed. So that's what this webinar series is for. I'm committed to you guys. The first one is going to be a little longer. All right, so we'll probably stick to the full hour during this session, but I am going to make it a point to make sure that we have short, very clear and concise webinars that have smaller topics, and that we really dive into the details on those topics so you can get the most out of each session in the shortest amount of time. I want to make sure you have the ability to attend, the ability to watch, and the ability to make some immediate changes within your own business. If you've heard me before, I'm a proponent of prioritizing and making sure you do the right things in the right order at the right time. So as you go through this webinar series, I need you to really, really, take things with a grain of salt. Not everyone is in the same position today. So it doesn't mean that because I covered it, you need to implement it right now. That's what a strategist is for. That's what logic and a brain and some analysis is for, is to determine, are you at the position within your business and your marketing strategy to take that next step? That's our job. So in a traditional sales environment, what you'll feel is like a company is coming back to you and they're continually selling you something else. In our world, we think different. Our job, when we started this business, we agreed that from a cultural standpoint, we were going to adopt and attract those individuals who had a very good understanding of business in addition to their skill set, and that they had logic behind their presentation. They have data supporting their recommendations, and that we have experience that validates our recommendations as well. So again, the great part is during the webinar series, we get to pick the topics. You're going to hear things that it may, if you contact us and say, hey, should I be doing this right now? The answer may not be, no, you shouldn't not do it, but just not yet. So you have some predecessors, and knowing what those predecessors are, what needs to happen first before you get to that next stage and you implement that next thing, that's what's going to keep you on a path for continued progress and continued overall success. Very, very important. I know it's exciting to get on a webinar and somebody, starts teaching how to, some twit stand on stage teaching you how to tweet, and all of a sudden you're like, I should do Twitter. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay. And if somebody only sells social media services, or they only sell Twitter management, that's what they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you, you need to buy what it is that they sell. Again, we don't think like that. It's a very, very strategic process. All right. So first and foremost, let's just get down to the nitty gritty. How do consumers buy? You guys, as a business owner. So my background, I was vice president of global logistics and supply chain for multiple companies. My background is definitely operations, technology, infrastructure, supply chain management. And I have since, in the last 12 years, built, bought, and sold multiple companies, as well as grown and helped other companies build, buy, and sell their own businesses. That being said, owning a digital marketing agency, it's about the talent. So every individual comes with their own talent. The reality behind how consumers buy, it's awesome because I get to stand on stage. I don't have to listen to all the advertising companies come out with their fancy charts and maps and guides and all their stuff and say, this is how they buy. They buy from, 60% of X is going to buy from radio advertisement versus this. This is real. I get to stand on stage in front of tens of thousands of people on an annual basis and be able to identify how do consumers make their purchases. If they're shopping for a service or a product, what's their mindset? How do they go through the process? The bottom line is, in every audience, it boils down to two things. One, they purchase online. They go to Google, they do a search. There's various ways they go to Google, whether it's through their phone or it's through a traditional web search, or they're talking to an AI device. We'll come back to that later. Or they're utilizing a wearable device. There's various ways that they go to Google to do those queries and searches, but ultimately it boils down to that. The second way consumers still buy and will always buy is via referral. However, when I stand in front of an audience and I ask how many of you have made a purchase from a company you've never done business before because of a referral, I get the entire audience to raise their hand. In addition to that, when I ask how many of you Google them first, how many of you will search first, I am getting at least 80 to 90% of the audience raising their hand and also saying that they will not proceed unless they feel comfortable based on third-party endorsements, i.e. reviews. So you have to think about that. Consumers are now trusting what some stranger will say on Google and the review of your products or services or company more than they will trust a referral that comes from their mother. All right, so your digital position, it matters. So I wrote you a poem. That's my AI actually right now talking to me, so I'll explain that in a little bit. So I wrote you a poem. We'll keep this fun and engaging. The digital age requires change. The digital age requires change. It's complex and different and may feel like pain. The typical advertising agencies are feeling the same, having to pretend they understand code, indexing, and Google's monster algorithm changes every day. In order to stay relevant to you, they must say they understand how customers buy and they can help you reach them this way. The reality is you have to grow up in this age to truly compete. It's complex and it changes every day. And consumers will ultimately go by what everybody else says. So, advertising agencies that have traditionally sold media, print, radio, television, door hangers, flyers, magazines, newspapers, all of your traditional media and advertising techniques they're not working the same way that they used to. Hey, if your father had the business and then he handed it down, we're not in an age where we can say, well, this is what we've always done. Even with referrals, the way that referrals are being passed is now taking a different path. It's happening on social media sites. It's happening on local listing sites. It's happening via text. It's happening via shareable links, blog post shares. There are many, many different ways that referrals are taking place. Is referral business still a sound way to do business? Absolutely, should be your number one source to do business. However, the process the referral is taking place and your ability to get those referrals is changing. And whether or not those referrals actually convert to someone who moves forward with you, that's changing even more. Okay, so now we get into some tough questions and things that we have to consider. In 2017 and 18, we're going to experience a massive change. I'm going to cover some of the trends that are coming down the pipeline. These are things that I'm not able to typically address when I do a webinar that's hosted by somebody else, because it's complicated. It hurts everyone's heads. They just want to know, how do I build a website? How do we get on page one of Google for a couple phrases? And the reality is we need to think much, much deeper than that because of the trends and changes in technology, in requirements, in standards, in how consumers buy, and the devices that they use, and so forth. So I want to let you know about some highlights that are big trends and going to be significant to your overall marketing results as we move into 2017 and 18. So depending on when you're watching this video, this may be outdated. But first and foremost, AMP. The AMP project was started by Google, and it's called Accelerated Mobile Pages. If you can imagine, websites are becoming more and more complex. Why? Well, one, because Google keeps saying content is king, and the only way to compete today is to have one page per service in every single location that you want to get found. Consumers are demanding content. They're demanding that FAQs and their answers to their questions, the informations, comparisons. They're demanding that all of this content be centralized on your website so they don't have to call you to get the answers that they need. Technically, a consumer believes they should have any information they want at the tip of their fingers without ever having to talk to you, because most of them are actually making the decisions to buy prior to having a conversation. So the sales process has changed. The AMP project is designed to address the singular largest challenge in the digital marketing space, or the web metasphere. As websites continue to grow, A, because of requirements, B, because of search engine standards, C, because of consumer wants, wishes, and desires, the challenge is that websites become heavy. Okay, we want an interactive website. We want it to have all these bells and whistles. We want a gorgeous design. We want all these call to actions. We want third-party widgets and plugins. We want to make sure there's a Twitter feed and a Facebook feed and the way to share and all these things. The more of these elements that you put on a website, including all of the massive content and blog posts and everything else, the heavier the website becomes. So is it necessary in order to get ranked on Google? Absolutely. Is it necessary in order to engage, educate, and motivate consumers to take the next step? Absolutely. Does it weigh your website down to a snail's pace? Absolutely. So this is what the AMP project is designed to do. It's designed to take your web page, strip it down to nothing but text. No fancy headers, no fancy sidebars, no fancy sliders, no fancy call to actions, pop-ups, widgets, and everything else. Just content. It will take the content and render it instantaneously from any mobile search, from any platform. It's been adopted by all of the major platforms already. The launch it's been in development over 2016. The launch is really coming to light right now, and it's something that we need to have our eyes on, and we need to be planning to implement within the next few months, ourselves included. What does this mean? This means that if the only thing you had on your website was the text, is the text written well enough to convert? Now we get into a different situation. Okay, so when you're first starting your website, in order to get ranked on Google, if you have a lower budget, you're probably going to either skip the text that you need, or you're going to go with a less expensive text, more of SEO content, because you don't have any traffic right now anyway, and you're just trying to get ranked on Google so that you can actually have some eyeballs looking at your website and hopefully generate some new leads that turn into prospects because they convert and turn into a customer because you're a great salesperson. Awesome. That's where we start. However, as your website starts to get ranked on Google and it starts to move up the thread to the page one results, you start to have traffic and real people looking at your site. And we're not targeting a robot that's just evaluating data, metrics. Content and the quality of the content becomes ever more important. And now with the implementation of accelerated mobile pages, instantaneous results for your page displaying as consumers are walking around with their cell phones. They're on hotspots, they're on Wi-Fi networks, they're sitting in airports, they're in their car on break, they're on lunch. They are moving throughout the internet on mobile devices. The quality of your content has to be perfect. So that's a big one. I'm going to come back to that a little bit more. Next, obviously, smartphone, mobile apps, cross devices, and channels. We're in a position where everything has to be geared towards that. Devices are getting smaller. People are wearing wearable devices. Watches are coming into play. Making sure that your website renders properly, AMP is part of this, and that you are connected through all of these different devices from a technology standpoint, as far as the physical technology, as well as cross devices and cross channels, all of the different social media network, local listings, and so forth. Next, artificial intelligence. So this sounds like a movie. However, it's real. AI is as simple as grabbing your phone and talking to Siri. If you have a conversation with Siri, Alexa, Cortana, Webster, that's the IBM platform, any of these artificial or AI. So if you don't know what Alexa is, oh my gosh, I love Alexa. See, I'm going to say her name and she's actually going to talk. Alexa, turn on the media room.
Okay.
That's Alexa. Okay. Our entire office, our home is ran off Alexa, artificial intelligence. If we need something, if I need her to add something to my list, or I need her to add something to a grocery schedule, or purchase something, or do a search, or call me an Uber, or get me an airplane ticket, whatever that is, I have to be careful saying her name. I have to be really quiet, because if I say her name, she lights up blue and she wants me to tell her something. So these artificial intelligence devices, Alexa, also has a smaller device called Echo. These are Amazon apps. These things are running people's homes, their phones, and now their computers. So as AI becomes more adopted, you're not dealing with the same type of search. It's not a consumer opening up their laptop or their computer, going to Google, and typing in 2 or 3 words. It is a prospect or a consumer that is physically having a conversation with the device. And they're asking them longer queries, different questions. So the key phrases that you have that are working in a traditional search with a computer are going to be very, very different than the long tail search phrases, that's what they're referred to, that are done through a voice query, especially in the AI world. All right, so that's something to consider. Very, very important. Again, boils down to content. Do you have titles and content that are matching or mirroring how a consumer or prospect or customer would query if they were talking to their AI device? Next, live chat and messaging apps. Google's actually looking into this now. It's looking at on your website. Are you trusted? Do you have great support? Are you highly ranked? There's so many different things, but one of the things that it is considering as a part of the evaluation is, are you live? So something that's not been heavily equated as an algorithm changer or a something that would have more weight on your rankings on your website, now is something we need to start considering. It's not just Google. It's not just how this impacts your website and how it's viewed from the technology devices or the robots, but it's also how consumers are viewing you. So on one hand, we used to start off and all there was a phone number. You had to call. People don't like making calls anymore, so then you had to add an online form, and then you had to turn that form into an online scheduling system because people want to have an appointment to talk to you on their lunch break or when they get off work or in an evening or on a weekend or at 2 o'clock on Wednesday because that's the 1 hour they have open in their schedule, and it's only because somebody canceled an appointment with them. People are busy. the quicker you can get into a live chat and messaging app situation where you have somebody that is manning that chat and able to communicate with your customers on a regular basis, real time and live. So if you think about Bank of America, or the best company ever, live chat, I believe, ever, is American Express. I love American Express chat. Their customer service people are incredible, and they're always there to help. And I would say 99.9% of everything I've ever needed has always been resolved in a chat. Next thing to consider, authentication. Google is authenticating websites differently now. Okay, if you're familiar with ICANN, ICANN is a domain registry that, just like GoDaddy is a domain registrar, which it will sell you a URL, www.blank.com. Okay, Google owns ICANN. ICANN has access to be able to evaluate the information that is attached to any public domain name. So part of the authentication, making sure that you guys are real, that you're trusted, that you are a quality company, that you're the best possible option that it can present to its customers. And remember, Google's customers are your prospects searching for your products and services, right? Or questions related to your products and services. So something that's not been a big deal in the past, is your domain public? And are you 100% sure that on your registrar, it clearly says your company name as the owner and the registrar, your contact information, your physical address, and does your physical address match your Google business listing, your phone number, and does your phone number match your Google business listing as well as your website? And this is in a few different layers. Your domain name, your registrar information, your technical information, and so forth. So it's very important that if you have not done this before, you want to make sure that your domain registrar information is owned by you, attached to your company information. Make sure the information is accurate and that it all lines up. So if you do an address change, don't leave an old address. If you do a phone number change, don't leave an old phone number. Make sure there is absolute consistency in between your domain registrar, which is your URL, and all the details related to it, probably with GoDaddy or HostGator or there's so many of them, okay? If you're not sure, you can always contact us and we'll help you figure it out. Or you can go to GoDaddy and there's a little link on there that says Who Is. It's GoDaddy Who Is, and you can type in your domain, hit search, and it's going to show you who the registrar information is. So make sure that's accurate. Okay. Reviews, I'm going to come back to that. Legal notices. This is new as well. This wasn't always a priority, but now Google is actually looking at, does your website have a privacy policy, terms and conditions, the proper disclosures that's necessary? Previously, you had to have these things if you were an e-commerce site and you were getting evaluated for PCI compliance, and you had to have these certain required legal notifications on the footer of your website in order to get approved for your merchant account. Now it's even further. We have to, in 2017, if we don't have them, we need to make sure that we have your basic website legal notices, privacy policy, terms and conditions, all right, or terms of use, they would say. So that's another one we need to consider. Local listings, social media, and reviews. The authentication process for consumers and Google are identical. They want to know, are you transparent? Are you public? Do other people love you? From local listings, the top 70 local listings account. Social media, you have your top 5, and then in addition to that, there are another 300 social media accounts that you never know if they're going to become popular, right? So making sure that you start to occupy and own those handles so that no one else can snag that from you is going to be important from an offensive standpoint and a defensive standpoint in reviews. Huge, huge, huge. I'll go into that in a little bit. Sales automation, not necessarily, this is not a Google trend, but it does have an impact on your overall rankings. The more traffic you have, the longer people are staying on your site, the more pages that are traveled, and the more overall traffic and referral sources, the more valid your website is, the more trusted your website is, the higher your rankings will continue to climb. So there is technically an impact. Sales automation is pretty simple. If you sell a particular product or service, and there are other services that could go with it, by taking a customer and dropping them into an email drip campaign with a series of educational, informational, and conversion statements to get them to know about new services, other things they could sign up for or use, this is going to help drive traffic. If you have the links properly embedded to landing pages on your site back to your website, it's also going to do some of that selling for you. When you sit down with a client, trust me, we're in this situation. When we sit down with the prospect, we have hundreds of things we technically need to get across because they need to know so much in order to make a really good decision and to have expectations that are in alignment. But the reality is you can't. Right? You confuse them. It's too much. They check out. All of you have the same situation. Your first job is to identify what is the consumer's immediate need, and then over time, make sure that you continue to build those relationships, provide additional education, and introduce other products and services that you believe they would need in the future. That's where sales automation comes in. Remember, the ability to increase profits is twofold. One, increase sales. Two, decrease operational expenses. And finally, of course, you have margins, and that's going to determine. So we have to become more operationally efficient. We can't just keep adding people and people and people and resources. That's very expensive. All right, next is going to be data and predictive trends. Very often in the digital marketing environment, it's extremely susceptible to personal preference. And we have to remember that data and predictive trends have to play the largest role. Our personal opinions on what social sites we like, how people search, what content they're looking for, whether or not you would use a particular tool, or whether or not you would call or schedule an appointment, or you would fill out a web form, or you would use live chat. Remember, it's you're not only selling to yourself. Consumers are going to have different things that they love and don't love, and we've got to make sure that we utilize predictive trends. These are trends, industry standard information, as well as data specifically generated from your website in order to identify what do we need to do next, what do we need to eliminate, what do we need to add, what do we need to eliminate, what do we need to add, and that needs to be done on a quarterly basis. Next, authority content and inbound marketing. You guys got to become magnets. You got to become magnets. You have consumers that are looking for you 24/7 while you sleep. So is your website, is your email marketing strategy, are these things designed to simply sit and be this giant magnet that attracts those consumers who are already looking for what it is that you do? Very important. Authority content, tie it back into AMP. We're going to be in a situation here very, very shortly where SEO content is not enough, and it could actually hurt you instead of help you when it comes down to the consumer's view. In the beginning, does it absolutely help you get ranked on the top of search pages for a broader and wider range of key phrases and locations? Absolutely. Less expensive, less quality, not great for conversions, great for getting eyeballs to attend. Now we have to think differently about authority content. Next, digital transformation and change management. You guys, as I meet different business owners all the time, and a lot of times they'll come up and say, I don't want to know about all this stuff. I just want you guys to take care of it. As business owners, we have to take some accountability for understanding enough to have proper and alignment in our expectations based on our monthly investment and resources that are working on what we need done, based on our time online. We have to be able to ask good questions. We have to be able to change our mind when presented with new information. We have to be able to be focused on the positive. We have to identify what are the trends and traits that are working. Let's do more of those. Let's do more of those. Let's do more of those. we need to make sure that we have enough knowledge and enough information uh, I want to sing the Brush Your Shoulders Off song. Um, you know, this is not always, it's not always going to be perfect. You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs, you're going to have an algorithm change and boom, tomorrow something changes. And we have to figure out what it is, and we've got to work hard to be able to regain those positions, and that's doable. It takes a minute. But if you find yourself sitting in a space and you either don't have the knowledge, you want the easy route, or you tend to be always looking for the negative, or unable to brush your shoulders off when there are negative impacts or drops in rankings or not the performance that you wanted to see. Remember, this is you've got to keep yourself in that positive mindset where you're constantly evaluating, reevaluating, and continuing to do more of what works, reduce what doesn't. Continue to do more of what works, reduce what doesn't, and be flexible. What you're looking for in an agency is you want to make sure that that partnership, that care, that concern, that love, that passion, that creativity, that positive mindset, the always looking for solutions, that they're there and they care. That's very, very important. And do they know where the industry is going? And are they staying on top of these things as they're coming out? All right. And then life cycle marketing optimization. We have to make sure we catch consumers earlier in the process when they're doing research. And we have to engage and keep consumers or customers engaged well after they've done business with us. We work on that in our own business. That's why I take time to spend time with my clients through webinars and live events and speaking events and so forth, as well as email education and all of the other things. It's very important that you maximize the life cycle marketing through optimizing your channel from beginning to end. What is a consumer's mindset when they're first interested in your products or services? Are they doing research online? Are they asking questions? What's the best? What's the difference? How much? When should I? How should I? What should I? You have to think about all of those questions that are going through a consumer's head before they move to the next life cycle, which is the buyer's mindset. So when they're in the research mindset to the buyer's mindset, they're skeptical, they're looking at reviews, they're identifying potential products, services, businesses, and so forth, all the way through. What does that customer look like that's been doing with you business with you for 10 years, 15 years, 2 years, or 3 months? And we have to maximize that process. Some of that is through web, some of it is through email, some is through video, some is through content, some is through education, and so forth. All right, so I covered a really small list on here of trends that we need to be considering and thinking about as we move into 2017 and 18. Some of these may be applicable to your business right now, some of them may not. You may have other things that are basics that need to get out of the way first and be taken care of. But either way, it's good to know where we need to go. And you guys, this stuff changes so fast. In the beginning, when you first get started, your first priority is just the basics, right? You got to catch up to 2016 first. So do you have a website that's coded properly? Challenge with this one is the coding requirements change because devices change, search engine requirements change, coding standards change, the rendering of the content changes, and boom, you have AMP, accelerated mobile pages, which changes everything. So even when you think you're there, keep thinking. You got to keep moving. And we're in the same boat, so I feel your pain. Design. Is your design, is it dynamic? Is it working? Is it hurting? Is it helping? Is it converting? It's constant. It's a constant trial. Is it prepped and preparing you to present your business properly for the current season? If you have a seasonal business, is it different between winter and summer, spring and fall? Does design properly represent your business depending on the seasons? Is the design weighing down your site? Is it causing it to render slowly? Are you potentially losing? Is your bounce rate high? Is the code? Same thing. We're constantly reevaluating this. If you guys have a website that's older than 18 to 24 months, you need to replace it. There are times when we have designed, developed, and launched a website, and within 3 months, there has been such a significant change that we need to redesign and develop a website 3 months after it's launched. because of a significant change. So make sure you're on some kind of a refresh program. Don't let your website get older than that 24-month period. And a year from now, I'm going to be telling you 15 months. A year from then, I'm going to be telling you 12. It's going to get tighter. That window's going to get smaller as technology advancements happen more frequently and faster. Okay, next is engagement. What kind of engagement do we have? So we talked a little bit about live chat. That may be something new you're considering for this year. Online scheduling, click to call, web forms. Do you have different tools that allow people to simulate different situations, ask questions, tutorials, troubleshoot things? These are the kinds of elements we have to think about from an engagement standpoint to make sure that we're keeping consumers engaged on the website. Also, engagement will come from videos, webinars, and other elements as well. Conversions. We got to make sure that we are constantly looking at ways to convert. Your traditionals are simple. I've covered most of them, right? Your phone number, a web form, contact us, schedule service, schedule an appointment, request a free consultation, request an estimate, get an estimate online. These are your typical conversions. In the digital marketing world, remember this, the saying that says if you're doing the same thing you were last year, you're probably getting the same results. That doesn't apply to the digital marketing world, okay? If you're doing the same thing you were last quarter, you're probably falling behind this quarter because everyone else, the world around you, it's changing so fast. So conversions, we got to get creative. What can you give away? What's of value? You guys have to disguise yourself of whatever business or product or service you sell. You've got to disguise yourself and make sure that it is clear and apparent that you guys have a true interest and care and concern for the consumer's wants and needs. What's important to them, and it may not be related to the products and services you sell. I do trainings all the time that have nothing to do with anything that we make a penny on or that we sell. I do Google trainings. I teach people how to use Google, all the Google apps and everything else. We don't sell those services. I do email hosting and web server trainings. There are plenty of things that consumers need to know. And how would you stand out from your competition if you were the one providing that information? So as far as conversions, think differently, and we can help you do this. If it's an ebook, if it's the top 10 things you should do to care for your home, if it is the top 10 ways to save money, if it's the top 10 ways to save for retirement, I'm trying to think of all the different businesses on here. If this is how to protect your health and wealth, something, ebook downloads, giveaways, educational seminars, things that are going to convert consumers, not because you're telling them request a quote or buy from us or schedule today, but because you are giving them something of value. That's what they expect. I'll tell you, the biggest websites in the world, they're all doing that. They all have marketing tools that have been created to provide value and information and education, and that's how consumers are signing up. Build your list, build your database. Conversions are more than a new customer or a new prospect. Part of your conversion methodology in 2017 should also include building your list. Then when it comes into automated email sequences, automated sales strategies, you can start having this database of potential prospects. They were interested, they came to your website, they found this information on your social media site, and they got engaged, they converted, they're in your list. Then let the automation continue to do those sales for you. Trust me, year one, not a lot of impact. It's exciting though. As soon as you see your first person sign up and download your new ebook, oh, this is great. You'll be excited. However, year two, huge difference. Year three, now you're talking. Okay. Everything takes time. Don't wait to get these things into place though. All right. Connectivity. That's how your website is connected to all your social media sites. In the beginning, all you start with is Facebook. Cool. Absolutely a must do, first priority. However, the connectivity needs to grow. What are you doing on your Twitter account? What are you doing with YouTube? What are you doing with your LinkedIn business page? What are you doing with your Google Plus page? And so forth. So we need to be really careful that our connectivity continues to expand. Okay, next is marketing. A website is no good if you don't market it. All it is an online brochure. You better put your running shoes on and hand out a lot of business cards. So if you have a website and you think that it's going to perform independently without a marketing strategy and connectivity, we're not so much. So you'll basically work for your website and your website won't work for you. Make sure that your marketing strategy and your connectivity plan continues to evolve, as do your code, design, engagement tools, and conversion strategies. And finally, I think everybody on here has a cell phone. So the fact that I'm still talking about you have to have a mobile responsive website hurts my head, but there are way too many websites out there that are still not mobile responsive. By the time you get your website mobile responsive, based on the rate that some businesses are currently going, there'll probably be a new requirement for making a website mobile responsive. So don't get too behind. All right, the ABCs: automation, budgeting, comprehensive. So, automation, you guys, over time, the longer our clients are with us, the more strategy sessions we have, and the more that we learn about their business, how it functions, how it works, what their different resources are, what they do, what their responsibilities are, we're able to identify areas of potential automation. Anything you can automate, get it off your plate. It's no different than as a business owner, I would recommend you make a list. If you are the owner of the company, and you guys can shoot me a message on there if you are, if you're the owner of the company, as the owner, you need to make a list of the things that only you can do. Everything else, make it your life's missions to get it off your plate. Make sure you have quality and competent resources that can take care of it. Same thing in the tech world. Anything that can be done through automation should be. If you're currently writing handwritten thank you notes to all of your clients, I applaud you for that. However, there's automated processes that are less expensive, more effective, can accomplish more, and have a long-term compounding impact on your business, and they can actually grow your business. So that's just a really simple way. Same thing with scheduling, customer communications, sharing invoices, proposals, documents. Um, there's too many things that can be customer communications, having them sign up for a strategy session or maintenance or whatever that is that you do on an ongoing basis. So make automation something that's important to you. Again, reduce operational expenses through automation, improve margins, make more money. Next, budgeting. This is a challenge because this is a mindset. So there's all different kinds of businesses that are in different mindsets. The smaller the company, typically, the more difficult, because we're in a different budgeting mindset and stage than a larger company. So larger companies are they've been around the block. They have a lot more resources that are more experienced, and so budgeting to them, they know budgeting, they know forecasting, they know what percentage of their annual sales they should be allocating towards marketing, and they plan for growth. They have their annual meetings. The team comes together, they do their annual budgets, their forecasts, their projections, and they set in motion the plan for next year. How do they want to grow? What kind of budgets are going to need to be able to be applied in order to accomplish that goal? However, in a mid-size business, you'll tend to have the budgeting process, but it's thought of as a budgeting process, not a growth process like a bigger company. So they will think more about, this is my budget, it's set, and uh, you know growing your budget increasing with your sales growth is not always part of the normal mindset. And then on your small side, entry level, when you're first getting in, those are the companies that we'll talk to and say, so what's your monthly marketing budget, or what do you have, where do you want to be, what's comfortable for you from a monthly marketing budget? And their response is going to be, but we haven't really thought about that. I'm not sure. And that's normal. And I get that. So we have to work through the process. In order for us to be big, we have to think big. In order for us to get to the next position, we have to walk 5 steps ahead. So if we want to be a big company, we need to think like one. We need to make decisions like one. And we're going to have to prioritize, how we can do that. But that's what a business strategist and coach will help you do, is they'll help you move through those different phases. With a larger company, there's definitely more alignment in their expectations of results based on their investments. So they have, typically resources that are so experienced. They understand how long it takes to get ranked on Google. They understand, uh, what a pay-per-click investment is and what kind of return. They understand that posting content on Facebook is not going to drive new business. It's just going to make sure you close the business you already have coming through the door, because they know you're alive, well, kicking in, and transparent. They know they need to boost posts. They know they need ads. They know that they need to integrate their social media networks in every single touch point they can throughout their entire sales supply chain from beginning to end. So it's okay that if you're sitting in a position, you're a smaller company and you're trying to learn these things and you need to do this, we'll get there. We'll get there. A lot of this is mindset, some of it's experience, and some of it is also trust. You may be in a position where you've been burned and therefore you're on the defense, and I get that. We'll get there. All right. On the right-hand side, digital experiences, desktop, mobile, in-store. So the ABCs, the C is comprehensive. This is what I mean by comprehensive. Integrated planning and strategy, always on campaigns, content marketing, search engine optimization, organic search, paid versus paid placement. So getting on in that top 10 listing, paid search, AdWords, social media marketing, email marketing, multi-channel analytics, local listings. I can keep going. This is a comprehensive strategy. You may be doing number 1, 2, or 1, 2, and 5. Where do we need to get to? We need to get to the point where we are creating a digital experience through a desktop, mobily, and if you have a physical location, in store. Okay, and there's lots of different ways you can do that, even physically in your office. How do you get people digitally engaged? How do you build your fan base from the front counter at your store? All right. This is the ABCs: automation, budgeting, comprehensive. We need to get those things down, and we'll see progress. Now, three G's of leads. I like that. I'm gonna have to create you a rap for this. The 3 G's of leads. The 3 G's are important for all businesses. It doesn't matter what niche you're in. They are really simple. 1, Google Business Listing. 2, Google Rankings, also known as SEO. Okay, so number 1, Google Business Listing, also known as Google Maps. Totally free for you to set up the account. Don't pay a company to do that unless you just, if you made a list of the things that only you can do and you put that on your outsourcing list, fine. But just know that they don't have to pay a fee for that. You do have to with Bing and with Yahoo and some other ones, but you don't have to with Google Business Listing. That's free to set up. Just go to Google, type in Google My Business, and boom, it'll say set up your Google Business Listing account, and you can do that yourself. Don't lose a login and password. Don't let your marketing agency set it up for you under their own Gmail account. Don't let your employee set it up, the business owner, because they set that thing up under their own Google login and password. They leave your company and you are SOL. I love it when it's my own webinar. Okay, so you're stuck and that happens all too often. They leave your company, you cancel services with the marketing agency. Now you have a Google Business Listing out there. Somebody leaves a negative review. You can't log in to respond. You can't update your address. You can't update your phone number. Good luck trying to call Google and ask them to help you. You can't reset your password because it's going to someone else's account, and you are in a quandary. I'll say that. So as far as your Google Maps account, Google Business Listing account, you need to be a hoarder. Like, this is mine. I'm not letting anybody else touch this. Then if you have an agency you can trust, give them the login and password. Let them log in. Ultimately, you own the login and the email. It's under your phone number for a password reset and so forth. That's that. Okay. So yes, they should manage it for you. but you got to be the owner. No different than your domain name. Okay, Google rankings, also known as SEO. When you go to Google, you do a search, 10 organic rankings show up on any particular first page. Page 1. After that, you may have 100,000 pages of 10 or 200,000 pages of 10 organic listings, or you may have 1 million or 2 million or 10 million or 100 million. Remember, in the Google ranking environment, in order for you to make any money, you need to be in the top 3 to 5 on page 1 of Google. Everything until then, you're just investing. Hopefully, they're doing the right things to get you eventually moved up to the front. And the final G of leads, Google AdWords, which is also referred to as pay-per-click. Those are the ads at the very top, ads on the side, and ads on the footer of a SERP page, search engine rankings and placement page. All right. And you guys, this is it. That's how you make money online. There's lots of other things you can do to kind of boost this, and there's things you have to do to make this work. But these are the 3 things you need in order to be actively marketing online, making your phones ring, getting forms filled out, getting leads, prospects, traffic, visitors, and hopefully sales conversions. That depends on you guys on if you can convert the leads. But what is Google? What are the basics? I call them the RCTs. Google wants to know on your website. So let me back up. Let's say that your website currently meets the coding and webmaster requirements that Google has set forth right now, today. Okay, that's done, right? You have a responsive website, you have more content to code percentages, you have proper permalinks, meta titles, meta tags, meta descriptions. Your site is indexed properly. You're not using any duplicate content. You don't have content copied from third-party websites. You didn't buy a website from somebody who reuses the same content continuously over and over again and get you banned. You're not using images that you don't own. You're not grabbing them off Google, putting them on your site. You'll wind up with a lawsuit from Getty. They have a nice big fine attached to that. So let's say that those things, which a lot of those are covered in the book I told you you're going to get after the webinar. Let's say those things are taken care of. And you've got grace time when Google implements a new requirement or a new standards or code standards change, then you've got some time to get caught up with that. So that's why we have everybody on a refresh plan. Make sure that thing's updated. Those are in place. Now, what does Google care about? The RCTs are identical to Google as they are to real people. Consumers, as soon as you know this, right? I mean, consumers, prospects, they want to know that you're relevant to what they need, right? If they're looking for XYZ, you're relevant. You have XYZ. If they're looking for ABC, you're relevant. You have ABC on your website. Okay? Google wants the exact same thing. Is the content relevant to the exact search phrase that a consumer is looking for in the location they're looking? Next, consumers want to know, are you current? That's your voice. Do you talk? Do you speak? Do you educate? If they have questions, are you answering those questions? Google's identical. The only difference is instead of you talking, it's in the form of text, video, images, infographics, content, downloads, and so forth on your website. The more frequent you add new content, the more you talk from a sales standpoint, the more business you do. Okay, they're both the same. Go back to people. Humans want to know, what do other people think about you? Google wants to know, what do other people think about you? Okay, this is called off-page SEO, which is tied in closely to top 70 local listings accounts, your top social media accounts, article writing, blog republishing, backlink building, social networks, social bookmarking. This gets complicated. Remember I said I was going to do a whole bunch of little trainings? But essentially, it's the exact same thing. The only way Google knows if you're a trustworthy website is based on, do other people think you're trustworthy? But it's not reading the text. It's the frequency. It's 11 o'clock. The frequency of those engagements and endorsements. And finally, we have to be strategic, right? As long as we understand what consumers want, we understand what Google wants, and we make sure that we maximize those efforts in both places, we're good to go. As far as Google rankings, you need time, okay? It has to be natural, not forced. So be careful. This is where the alignment and expectations can cause challenges. If you want now, which all consumers do, remember, that's forced. You can actually get penalized for fictitious growth, fictitious reviews, fictitious content, fictitious backlinks. So don't force it. You have to have time because Google is expecting that you have a natural progression of your website and endorsements of others. Not that tomorrow you have 3,000 reviews, 5,000 backlinks, and all of a sudden you're on page 1, position 1 of Google, which absolutely is doable. And watch how quick you wind up getting your hand slapped and penalized and pushed to the back. It's a heck of a lot harder to climb back up than it is to stick in the top and have small bounces. It's okay if your website bounces around a little. It moves down, it moves up, it moves down, it moves up, it moves down, it moves up. There's tons of things that could cause that. But you need time. So for every 100,000 competitive pages in the search, if you go to Google and you type in a search, there's a number that will come up at the top. Remember, 10 spots show up. It will say 10 out of 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, 600,000, a million, 2 million, 10 million, 100 million, a billion. So if you go to Google and just test this, I want you to go to Google and I want you to type in the word our services. Hit send. Don't do it right now. Do it after the webinar. Our services. Watch what comes up. You'll see a giant billion number, or type in the word FAQ, giant billion number. If you need 30 days per 100,000 competitive pages in the drawer, do you want to go after a phrase that has a million, 10 million, 100 million, or a billion search results when you look for it? That'll make you rethink what are you trying to get found for. So be careful. All right. Click-through rate. You guys, there's a significant difference between your rank and placement. If you guys are sitting on page 2, probably not making any money. If you're sitting on page 1, this is where your rank and placement is. So 18.2% of all click-throughs happen in the position 1 spot. Position 2 spot, 10.05%. Position 3, 7%. 4, 4%. 5, 3%. 6, 2%. 7, 1%, and so forth. So where do you want to sit? Right here. Now, if you go do a search and you find yourself sitting in page 1, position 3, position 4, position 5, and you look up and above you, you see Yelp, Home Advisor, City Search, Better Business Bureau. Remember, the volume of content, the number of backlinks, the amount of endorsements, all of these things that were critical to Google, remember those websites are huge, huge websites competing with the largest platforms who have been online longer, who have millions of backlinks, because that's what they've been trained to do, is to make you put a backlink on your website to their site, which helps them. And they have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of pages indexed by Google on their website. And in addition, the number of fans they have, the number of reviews they have, the number of engaged consumers they have, all of these things, right? Those are really, really hard sites to beat. So there are some situations where simply because you have a new URL, there's no way you can compete. You don't have the same kind of budget. You can't produce the same quality and frequency of content, whatever the situation is, that you may be stuck in this spot for a particular key phrase. Take the 7, 8, 10, 3, 4, 5% and roll with it. Get that business, because there are plenty of consumers that will bypass the directory and they'll go directly to the first organic listing that actually is a business versus a directory engine. So there are scenarios, though, even though it looks like you may be missing this 20, 30% of the potential click-throughs because of those kinds of sites, don't worry about that too much. Stick with this. Keep trying to work towards building credibility in your local area, local marketing, and all the things I've talked about, and you can get into this area. Now, that being said, if we can identify a key phrase that is a low competition key phrase, so under 300,000 rankings, so especially if you or pages in that drawer, remember you go to Google, type in a phrase, number comes up in the top left corner. If we can find those phrases that your ideal customers are looking for and get you ranked on page 1, position 1, 2, 3, 4 plus, you now can occupy for a smaller phrase, may not be as popular as the one you originally intended or in the location that has a higher population. However, if you can occupy 40% of the traffic, 40% of the click-throughs for a lower competition phrase, you can drive much more traffic over the long term. We have clients that have been with us for 10 years. Folks Heating is a great one, and he has a particular service that he provides that's outside of scope from the traditional, really nailed it, and in 5 major cities, we're able to do a search and we're able to see his listing. He owns position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and more. Got another client, Gilbert. They just went live a few months ago. Same thing, able to identify some very niche phrases and occupy. I saw one of the SERPs come back with 7 positions sitting on page 1 of Google, all him. He owns everything from here to here. Brilliant. Love that. So position matters, right? It requires on-page SEO, off-page SEO. On-page SEO, it's content, labeling. Gee, there's a lot. Okay, so I'll do a smaller course about these. But click-through rate matters. So I've covered the trends, the AMP project. I'm going to leave you with a couple poems that are very important, especially as we roll into the AMP Accelerated Mobile Pages project. Content is a king. It's your voice online, your ability to speak. It has tags and labels so it can be filed neatly. Why? Because people want to be able to find things easily. It's endorsed by many trustworthy sources. It's been around a while, and it allows me to be resourceful. I expect to find anything I need online, and I will start looking when I'm starting to unwind. You might be closed, and that's okay because your website's still open while you sleep for a while. I personally like videos. My husband likes blogs. I'll read the reviews. He'll check out the FAQs. All of the technical jargon just freaks me out. Without a translator, I can't figure it out. I just want to know you care. Whatever product or service you sell, you should try wearing a disguise and see it through my eyes. If you can treat me like family, I will be raving. A fan, of course, so don't leave without getting my feedback. I will surely endorse. Just make it easy so I don't have to click the next result. I hope that's helpful. So there says a lot in there. I'm going to actually, because of time, I'm going to skip through to the end because I know I get excited about this stuff. But you know what? It's my webinar. I'm so excited. I got to go 8 minutes over and I'm not getting pinged by anybody yet. Okay, so how to search for the truth. You guys, over time, that's going to be one of the things I focus on with you is I want to teach you how to search for the truth. And with you and your customers, you need to show them the truth. Don't tell them. You need to show them. Getting reviews, critical. Social media engagement, critical. Quality content, blogging, critical. Video, critical. Show me, don't tell me. Don't tell me you're number one. Show me. Okay, so I'm going to teach you how to search for the truth. It's more important versus me telling you what the truth is. A couple things. You can look for 2016 SEO guidelines. It's a PDF document. Came out from Google Webmaster. All the basics, it's in there. All right, basics. Okay, not the complicated stuff. You want to know more about the Google AMP project? Go to ampproject.com. All right. You want to know what Google is looking for? Search for 2016 search ranking factors. You can click on images if you like pictures, because that'll show you all the charts and graphs and everything else. You can also read text if you like looking at that. I just want to make sure that you have more than my word as far as what's coming. And I've only covered a small percentage, no different than I can rip any website designed by us or anyone else apart. No matter what, I can literally tear apart any website and identify what's wrong, what's missing, what should be different, and so forth. Why? Because never will we have a website that's perfect. No one else will either. The more you guys improve, the higher ranking you become, the better success you have, the more you're going to be targeted by those companies who state they are a digital marketing agency. They cold call or cold email or solicit you through automated email scripts. Some of them are very well written. You just have to ask yourself one question. If you're a digital marketing agency and you're great at generating inbound traffic and that's what you want to sell me and my company, why the heck are you having to cold call me or email market to somebody that doesn't know you from Adam? How come you can't use your own marketing methods to generate new business for your own company the same way you're telling me you can do it for mine? So with that, I'll leave you with that, you guys. One, if you want a copy of this webinar, and if you want to get on the list for the next webinar I'm going to do, open up your cell phone, open up the text area, and in the text message area, type in 44222. That's the number. That's our number. And then in the message, just write CI Web Group, no spaces, no quotes, hit send, and then a message is going to pop back up. And when the message pops back up, it's going to say, thanks, we received your text. Type in your email address and hit send. Just do that. So open your text messages, grab your phone, do it right now. Click the create a new message, type in 44222 as the message. In the text area where you normally write a message, type in CI Web Group and hit send, then put in your email address. Boom, that'll get you registered for the next webinar, which we're nailing down the dates for here shortly. I'll make sure you get a copy of this. I hope this was helpful. I'm actually feel like I'm breaking the rules, and it's really cool because it's 11:12. I'm sorry for taking up more of your time. I hope this is helpful. Please leave me your feedback. You guys email me directly. You can send a message through one of the automated responses that you get. Let me know what you thought about this webinar. If you have specific things you want me to do, guess what? It's your show, your game. You guys, if you have specific topics or thing you want me to cover in the webinars, I want your list. Tell me what I can do to help you. We are, as always, dedicated to your success. And again, make it a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you on the next webinar.